What is up, guys? RGT85 here, and today we have to talk about something. This is going to be sort of an announcement video, an FAQ video about a special project that I've been working on. If you follow me on social media, I've been sort of alluding to working on this secret project, and it's time to sort of unveil this project and then sort of give you guys some insight as to why this project came to be, how it came to be, and, show you guys a preview of this project because it's actually coming along pretty well. But first and foremost, if you also follow me on social media, you would notice that I tweeted out and put on Facebook yesterday that I chopped off all my hair. I put a picture up of all the hair on the floor, and honestly, I don't know how dudes and chicks with long hair do it. Like, I was absolutely miserable, but it was to the point of where I was like stubborn and I was like, I don't want to cut my hair, blah, blah, blah. But yes, the hair is gone, folks. It was time. I can wear hats again. It's very nice. Shout outs to people with long hair. I don't know how you do it. My hair is thick and coarse like pubes anyway, so it was absolutely miserable. But now you could not say that I look homeless because of my hair. You have to say I look homeless because of something else. So there we go. But obviously, if you read the title of the video, if you saw the thumbnail, you would see that I am working on a Sega book. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions about it, so that's why I wanted to make this video and give you guys some insight and show you guys a preview of the project like I talked about. As far as why I decided to write the book, I've always been interested in writing. It was the only thing I was actually ever really good at in school. It came very naturally to me, and that's pretty much how I got my start in the video game industry, was through writing. I was writing for some smaller websites. I was having fun doing it, probably back in about 2012, and it was sort of how I got an insight into the world of video games, because I always grew up, reading books and magazines on video games like a lot of people my age did. Late 20s to early 40s, you always had video game magazines, you had video game instruction booklets, so like books were cool at that time. It was the only way to get information on video games. So I've always been fascinated with writing, and I've always enjoyed it. Like I said, it comes to me very naturally, and so through the years I just continued writing, and I worked for subsequent websites like the enthusiast websites, and then I started doing videos, and really the writing just sort of took a back burner, took a backseat. It's something I still enjoy doing, but it's not something that was really, it was a bit more time consuming than making videos, and I wanted to put all my focus into making videos. But about a week and a half or so ago, I started thinking like it would be cool to write a book, because I've actually been involved with video game books throughout the past few years. There's a bunch of different authors out there who do different video games books. People like Jeffrey Wittenhagen, people like Brett Weiss. They have both done books that I've been a part of, talking about the NES and the Super Nintendo respectively. Of course, Pat Contry is doing another book. He's doing his Super Nintendo book. So there's a lot of video game books out there, and I always thought, it would be cool if I could get a piece of that. But a book on something like the Super Nintendo or the NES, that's a full-time gig. If you're writing a book on one of those systems, that's going to take up a lot of time. Those libraries are so huge and so massive. And honestly, I didn't grow up with the Super Nintendo. I grew up with the Sega Genesis, so I don't really know all that much about the Super Nintendo as I would do with something with Sega. Sega is something that I always grew up playing. It's something that I was always around, so it was something that I was always very passionate about. Now, looking at Sega systems, there's a lot of Sega systems out there, and there's a lot of different systems out there that I could have decided to cover, but I decided to cover the one that nobody cares about. If you've watched my channel, you know there's one Sega console that I talk about a lot. I've done a lot of videos on it. I even managed to do like a hardware pushers on it and stuff, and it's just a system that I've always been fascinated with, and that is the Sega 32X. Yes, people, I am writing a book on the Sega 32X. It is called the Complete Sega 32X Guide, and this is going to be a very interesting book. So first and foremost, why the Sega 32X? The Sega 32X was always really cool to me. I remember, when the Saturn first came out, my family obviously couldn't afford it to get it on day one, and I still had my Sega Genesis, and I remember going to an indoor flea market, and they had a 32X with Star Wars Arcade for like super cheap, because obviously the system didn't sell well at all. And my parents let me pick it up, and I ended up getting that, and it was cool. It was a glimpse into the future of video gaming. It was a glimpse into the future of what systems like the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation were going to be like, because obviously there was a shift to this 3D polygons and 3D perspective that was going to be the future of gaming. The generational gap was very big, and the 32X was sort of that bridge to the generational gap between the Genesis and the Sega Saturn. So I was always fascinated with the system. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you would know that I have a complete complete North American 32X set as well. I have reproduction copies of the PAL releases and the Japanese release for the 32X that were exclusive to those regions. And so it's just always been a system that I've been fascinated with. I've always thought it was just so cool and never really got the respect that it deserves. So obviously there's going to be a lot of questions that you guys have about this project, you know, how it's going to look, what's going to be included in it, and how you're going to be able to get your hands on it. So I kind of want to do a very quick Q&A to sort of go over some things that I can foresee popping up in the comment section of this video and on social media in general about the project. First and foremost, I'm sure the question out there is, how will this be a crowdfunded project? A lot of these books, you know, Jeffrey Wittenhagen, like I mentioned, and Pat Contry use crowdfunding for their books, and I will not be doing any sort of crowdfunding for this because mainly it's not something that is going to take up a huge chunk of my time. Like I said, if you're doing books dedicated to these massive consoles that have these huge libraries, it's going to take you a very long time. So it's a great way to gauge interest in your project and to get funds for the project via crowdfunding. But for me personally, it's not needed in this project. I could definitely see why there are book projects that need crowdfunding, because you need to have some sort of income when you're doing a book like this, and of course you need to pay people and stuff. But this project will just be coming out of my pocket. Obviously it's not going to be something as big of a grand scale. It's not going to be, you know, several hundred pages long. So no, there will be no crowdfunding for this. It will all be done out of my pocket. Now, as far as the setup of the book is concerned, originally I was just going to do it myself because obviously I don't want to sink a lot of money into this project that's a very niche project to begin with. Let's be honest, video game books are pretty niche. Sega books are even more niche. A book dedicated on a Sega 32X, like, that's as niche as you can freaking get. And I was actually showing my buddy Jason some ideas for the book. Now, you probably know Jason. He does the channel Hey Jay. We met on Enthusiast Gaming, and of course have been friends throughout the years. He also, like I said, runs his channel Hey Jay. Make sure you guys go check him out. Really good channel. Just sort of starting out. We also do a Class vs. Crafts podcast every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern over on his channel. So like I said, go show him some love. Give him a subscription. I'm sure he'll be in the comments section pandering for subscriptions anyways. But he was like, okay, this kind of looks like ass. And I was like, you know, it's me doing it. Like, what do you really expect? And he was like, oh, you know, I have book editing software. Maybe I could help you out with this and, you know, handle all that sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. So I just sort of entertained him, honestly. And I was like, yeah, you know, send me a sample and maybe we can work something out. And then he sent me a sample and I was absolutely blown away with it because it looks absolutely gorgeous. Like, it looks like a very professional project. And that's when I started taking this a bit more seriously, that I wanted this to be a real professional project. So I went ahead and hired him on. He's going to be doing all of the layouts and designs for the book. I'll have a picture up on the screen right now. Obviously everything is just placeholder stuff, but it does give you an idea of how it's going to look, and I think it looks really nice. It looks really clean, and there's going to be a lot of different sections that we're going to talk about in a minute in the book itself. And I also have someone with a very deep passion and a very big mind for Sega stuff helping me out in the back end of things. I don't know if he wants to be name dropped or not, so I'm not going to name drop him. But basically, he's going to look over all of the reviews, all of the system information, just to see if there's any inaccuracies. Obviously, I'm doing everything by myself, so I want someone to come back behind me and make sure, you know, all of my information is correct. I didn't misspeak, because occasionally I do misspeak about things, let's be honest. So I wanted him to come back and sort of look at my material. I'm going to have an editor as well to sort of look over the proofing of everything, make sure sentence structure is right and everything. So it's going to be a very, very professional project. It's going to be a very, you know, in-depth sort of project. Now, as far as what's going to be in the book, I have some ideas. I pretty much have a layout, but I sort of wanted to get some feedback as well to see if I'm missing anything. As far as the book is concerned, there's going to be an introduction. I'm going to have a foreword. I'm reaching out to some people, hopefully, that will be able to help me with the foreword of the book. And then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to talk about the system itself, how it came to be, what it did in the marketplace, you know, what it was capable of, what the specs of it were. We're going to talk about, of course, the Sega Neptune, which was a canceled Sega 32X system that was supposed to be released. There's going to be reviews for every game that was available on the system, a total of 40 games. Each game will have a one-page review with 2 screenshots and all the subsequent information for the game and box art at the top of it. Then we're going to break off into the Sega CD 32X section. I'm going to have a little write-up about the system itself. There's going to be one-page reviews for all of that. Then we're going to get into the memory section and thoughts of the system itself. I've been reaching out to different people who worked with Sega and worked on games for that system during that time, along with other content creators creators, YouTubers, writers in the Sega sphere. If you have any ideas of people you would like to see in that section giving their 2 cents about the Sega 32X, definitely let me know. There's also going to be a section that has different magazine print advertisements for the Sega 32X, maybe some cool stuff in there. Oh, there's also going to be an unreleased section as well. That's going to be between, that's going to come after, excuse me, the Sega CD 32X section. We're going to take a look at some unreleased games. There's actually quite a few ROMs out there of unreleased prototypes of Sega 32X games that never hit the marketplace, so we're going to talk about those games, and of course with subsequent screenshots. So it's going to be a pretty meaty book, I feel like, you know, probably around maybe 70 to 80 pages. It's going to be something pretty cool. And the final question, of course, is publishing. How will you be able to pick up this book if you're morbidly curious about the Sega 32X? I'm actually going to be doing everything through Amazon. Amazon has a program where you can publish paperback books through their Kindle program, and then you guys will just be able to go to Amazon's website and pick up the book off of there, and then they ship it to your house. It's very simple. The books are very high quality for what they do, and it's just much easier than me getting a whole stack of books and then mailing them out to you one by one. Obviously, you know, this is a project that's very niche. It's not a project that I expect to, you know, make a whole bunch of money on. If I'm breaking even, making a little bit of money on it, like awesome, I've done my job. It's really just a passion project. So you'll be able to purchase this book off of Amazon. It'll be very easy to do. They print it and they ship it directly to you. I don't really have a price point in mind. It just sort of depends on, you know, how long this book ends up being and all of that, but it's going to be pretty cheap. Like I said, it is paperback only for now, at least, and I'm going to have some at cons as well, so if you want to pick one up there. Obviously I haven't talked about any cons for 2019 yet, but there will be some. But yeah, so I feel like this is going to be a very interesting project, and I wanted to come out and talk to you guys about it because I wanted your guys' feedback on it. Is there anything you feel like I'm missing? Is there any interest in this book whatsoever? Obviously, you know, there's a lot of retro gamers out there, and Sega was a very popular company during the retro gaming age, so I feel like there's sort of a small market for this book, and maybe it'll be pretty cool, and maybe some people will enjoy it. So let me know what you think of this project in the comment section down below. Like I said, I'm definitely open to feedback. I want to hear what you guys have to think of the project, and as always, thank you guys for checking out this video. As always, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up to date with other things. Check out other videos on the channel, and once the book is starting to come more into fruition, I'm actually working on a lot of the reviews right now. I've got about 10 left to do, so everything's moving along pretty quickly, and I'll have subsequent updates for you guys, and as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.